The topic for today on Let's Talk on Houston City Beat is reinvention. And with me today is Amber Lowe. Amber, I really do believe that you are the master of reinvention. I love to see how, unfortunately, sometimes life puts things in our path that causes us to realize that we've maybe been interacting with the wrong person. And as a result, we have to make a decision for the better of ourselves, for the better of whatever it is that we're working on. Tell us about how this has impacted you and how you have become the master of reinvention.
Whew, man, you have to first become a master of invention, right? And so they coined me as an innovator in the industry because when I left the dating industry, I literally had never done any kind of TV appearances. I had never tried comedy. None of that. I had a whole as they say, in my first life. In my first life, I played a different character. I had a just corporate America type thing, and I always loved business, but then my dad was a very successful entrepreneur, rest in peace. But he taught me a couple of things, and the one is that you cannot take the relationship out of the relationship business, and so that is part of the secret sauce is treating people, caring, actually just caring. Something simple as just actually really care, genuinely care. Um, and my dad had a philosophy that, as they say, criers or buyers. My dad's philosophy was if he could make you laugh, he'd get a friend for life. And so it's really about the relationship part of it. But then my dad also told me when I started realizing these dating services kept having to change their names over and over because of all the complaints they were getting at the Better Business Bureau, et cetera. And he's like, you can't be part of that, Amber. You have to leave. And so I was an international director over one organization and I ran another one. I've always been in a leadership role, but when y'all have a shady name like that, there's only so much I can do, right? And so when I left, it was kind of crazy because I'm actually writing a book called The Betrayal Clause. Because the thing that relationships they don't tell you in business sometimes is the betrayal part of the agreement, right? And so I had a I'm sorry, I had a so-called best friend who brought me on to the second organization, and she basically got jealous of my performance and got me fired. And so I was like, well, Dad, I guess it's all shady all around here. And I guess you're right. I guess it's time to go. And so I left and I was like, well, what can I do? Like, I don't really have a budget. I mean, I had a good savings, but I didn't have a budget for marketing. And I'm like, well, what do I know? I know matchmaking, event planning. I've been told I'm funny. I know business. Let's find out. Comedy is the cheapest thing to find out. And so I spent the whole summer with my sister, rest in peace, and did one open mic and made the Fresh Faces of Comedy on my second time ever performing. And it's just been very fast. Especially there's not a lot of females compared to men in comedy. But there's been a lot of setbacks too. So as I've had to invent myself, I would have a block over, let's say if I was trying to get my own night at the improv and I wouldn't play the politics or the games or the casting couch, then I would get blacklisted from there. So then I'm like, okay, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Let me go create some high publicity events that got me on the Tonight Show and 2020 Barbara Walters and figured out how to get myself out there. And then you go back, you get big enough, they can't deny you. And so I got my own night at the improv. And then
Yeah.
the whole time I'm taking classes. So I'm the kind of, what's that saying? I'd rather ask forgiveness than permission.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So you mentioned in comedy, you mentioned something about the couch. Could you talk more to us? Could you give us a
Yeah.
little more detail about that?
Absolutely love to. I actually started comedy in 2010, so that was a few years before the Me Too movement really came out. And just the deal that the person that was booking one of the venues at the time, I'll give you an example text. He asked me to lunch, went to lunch with him. I'm thinking he's either going to want to manage me or book me or something. And then I get a text message a month later. I just closed a business deal. I'm in the mood to, and he used the crass word. I'm like, here we go. And I was like, I know how exciting closing a business deal can be. And then next thing I know, I can't get booked to that venue no more. I've had,
Wow.
I mean, that's just one of
And
hundreds.
and how common is that in the corporate world, it's something that very few women are brave enough to talk about,
Yeah.
because there's a whole stigma of, if you say something, then what? What's going to become of your life if you do speak up? And yes, there was a Me Too movement, but how much of it is still happening today?
A lot. I
And
mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah, and especially in the micro small business space, where you have, maybe you have the president and you have 2 or 3 employees.
Hmm.
I think in those types of situations, it's even more pervasive than in the corporate world, because the corporate world, the reason that there are protections for women is to prevent sued. And
Yeah.
that's the only reason that it's there. They're not really there to protect women. And that's my opinion. And
Yeah.
I'm sure other people that would listen would object to that. But
A lot of people would agree, though.
a lot of people would agree. And the people that would disagree are probably in HR. So
And it's so funny. They always tell you, HR, we're here for you. We're here to protect you. We're here to protect the employees. Okay. Believe
yeah,
that if you want.
yeah. So tell us about one of the things that really bothers me about the world that we live in, is that it is so hard for women in comedy to stand out. Whereas you see all these men just pouring in and becoming famous,
Yeah.
wealthy, they have all the accolades, and yet women have to struggle so hard to get to even a position of where people even recognize you. Why do you think there is that challenge in the comedy space for women?
I think in general, matter of fact, I work in a lot of relationship, I also work in mental health, and I work in efficacy based programs to show that they work. And studies are showing right now that 78% of women in the workplace admit that they feel women's leadership is under attack in general. So this is not specific to one industry. This is just women in general. 90% felt like they were overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, and 85% felt like this job or this career is going to give me a cancer. They felt, or some kind of, fatal diagnosis. So women in general, I think it's a combination of things, because our work life affects our personal life, and personal affects our professional. But that's how I've been a matchmaker for 20 years with no divorce clients, because I get involved in their professional side, and that's how I even formed a PR. It just kind of happened naturally, helping my matchmaking clients and doing it for myself. But the crazy part is that relationships are affected, and so it all depends on the kind of supportive spouse you have also, because women in entertainment have gone through these challenges from back when Joan Rivers, or you go all the way back to, even get back to the 60s and 50s, and you go back and you look at all the challenges women have faced. But women, it's harder, I think, to find a woman who hasn't gone through some kind of challenge in this arena. But I think it's not, and one of the sad things, Lisbeth, is that sometimes because it's so hard for women, sometimes women be the worst ones about not supporting, not, sharing resources, not booking each other. There's an old saying in this industry, we're friends going after the same job. And I don't see it that way. I look like it's an abundance mentality. And I think I have a different style of comedy than somebody else. But I think our relationships in our personal life affect some of the things we go through. Like, let's say I'm in a toxic relationship and I'm trying to go for my dreams of comedy. That person could be jealous. They could sabotage your connections. They could sabotage your relationships. You may be dealing with one person trying to sleep with you, and then your spouse accusing you of of being jealous and insecure. That's why most entertainers are single, because it looks real glorious, it looks real fabulous, until you get in and realize that the groupie love is real on both sides. Fans are fans. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But most people think they want the lifestyle, but they don't want what comes with it. And that means sometimes my first 2 years of comedy was 7 nights a week, 3 to 4 spots a night, constant writing, constant practicing, constant checking it out. Then you get booked for shows. God forbid you got to travel. So finding supportive people in your life in any profession is really one of the biggest reasons I think relationships don't work, is because people actually get jealous of their own spouse.
And also the people that they're in business with. You've gone through that several times as well.
Oh my God, girl, I'm writing a book, like for real.
Yeah, exactly. So how has, when you go through a betrayal and you're coming out of it and you realize you're looking back and you're looking at all this carnage that has become your life and you're putting all the pieces back together again, are you in comedy at that point? Can you go to on stage and deliver a great performance, or does that hinder your ability to give a great performance?
Actually, and I'm only speaking for me because this is my style of comedy. I am a roast comedian. I wish you would. I really do.
Yeah.
I love it. Bring it on. Bring me some more. Because as I say on stage, names have been changed to protect the guilty. Oh, but I'm still going to talk about you. Yeah. And, I mean, a snake needs to be revealed. I'm not, I kind of say to myself, really, this is why. And it is, relationships are complicated, people are complicated, and we live in this, a lot of it is culture, a lot of it is our times, it's just the way it is. But we're in a crazy time where the studies are alarming. They're showing how parents and kids relationships, the dynamic with that is really getting messed up. Every millennial, they're on this whole kick. The therapists are saying that they're on this kick of all of our parents are narcissists. All of our parents, oh, they abused us. They were mean. I'm like, y'all are just soft and thinks everybody gets a trophy. So, like my generation, we're Generation X. We drank out of a water hose, and you see, I'm still here. So toughen up a little
And
bit.
we ate Twinkies every day.
We got our butt beat with a belt or a switch or whatever my parents could pick up.
Yeah.
But it's just, but that also is part of the problem of the culture and the music and the television. That's why I went in production, because the biggest weapon of mass destruction against our youth is what they hear and see. You know what I mean? And so we only want to be part of positive, educational, helpful, motivational type. I'm sorry, this phone just hit. I took the batteries out, y'all. I don't know. I
That's
don't know.
impressive.
My phone's possessed. I don't know. Like the batteries are literally out. So I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, it's challenging being in entertainment in general. Reputation and lawyers both have really bad reputations, but entertainers, I mean, the things I've been privy to and found out that people have done to get on. That's why that at the end of the day, that's why it's important. Your why has to be something not about you, not about money, fame, fortune, anything. It's kind of like a relationship when you pick a spouse. You can't pick them for anything that can change. Status. Oh, if you're a power couple, and if the only thing made you a power couple was your bank account, then that's not a real power couple. Real power couple is what it takes to endure when things get rough, rocky, and hard, right? And so I think one of the most things that I'm going through on this journey personally is I'm like, man, if the attack and a lot of it's spiritual to me, but if the attack and the BS I've gone through in business is this level, I can only imagine, as they say, new levels, new devils. And I know that sometimes we got to get toughened up a little bit to get ready we think we're ready for that next level until you see how these devils really are on that level. You know what I mean? And with I lost my baby sister to suicide in 2021, and it's kind of ironic because she would write with me and roll with me, and she was my ride or die. Would go to every open mic. I mean, just my biggest supporter, and I wouldn't be here without her. So I always have to mention her and stand in for her because she was truly one of the funniest people I ever met. But our family, we have mental illness, there's addiction, there's a lot of things that we've gone through, and so now I'm working in the mental health space. I just launched Corporate Comedy Live, and we are custom comedy mental health pioneers. And we partner with Anchoring Hope's Wellness Recovery Institute to create WRAP programs, which stand for Wellness Recovery Action Plans, or programs. And they're efficacy based. This is all university studies. But we're taking comedy and we're teaching it as a healing modality. And that's based on an attempt that I did at PeerFest, the largest mental health peer-to-peer a conference they do every couple of years, put on by the University of Texas and the Hawk Foundation. I did a workshop. There was 150 workshops. I got the highest scored workshop in the whole thing, and it was my first time talking about suicide prevention for entrepreneurs via comedy, and it was great. I almost had a perfect score, and then I created the curriculum. I did a junior curriculum for HISD, and that's what birthed Corporate Comedy Live. I thought of Corporate Comedy Live in 2015, but then I didn't have the element of mental health, and so I'm a living, walking proof that you have to. I'm the queen of a few things: a barter, and reinvention, and not the night. Okay, I'm not queen of the night. I'm not that. But I mean, you have to reinvent. I mean, look at Prince, look at Madonna, look at any great person that lasted decades. You have to reinvent. And unfortunately and fortunately for me, I've always been able to take tragedy and turn it into something that will bless other people, because we weren't promised an easy life. We just promised we wouldn't go through it alone. And so I'm here to, be that beacon of light in the darkness. And I just really want to help people go through things that I survived. And that's where your life really is and truly can be a survival guide for someone else. So never get discouraged to the point you want to give up. If you ever want to give up, please call me. I mean, my number's on the website. Anybody, I'll talk to you for free. We are definitely about suicide prevention, and that's why our inaugural gala is coming up May 10th for Corporate Comedy Live, where we're honoring 25 women that are the unsung heroes in mental health at the Mental Health Heroes Awards. But that information on that is on our corporatecomedylive.com.
Okay. Well, that is absolutely amazing. I love how every time I've seen you take a challenge, you flip it on its head and you make something really positive of it. You plant it in the ground, and up from there comes these beautiful flowers. So congratulations on all of these great accomplishments, Amber. I'm so happy to know you and to consider you a friend. And you can count on Houston City Beat to be here to help you get your message out and help as many people as possible.
Well, I'm very proud of you too. I mean, you and I both know some of the same people, and people can be a challenge, but I'm very proud of what you guys have built and grown. So I'm very proud of you too. And I think that, in the end, the truth always comes out, and you will find out who the real ones are. And, time has proven that this is a genuine connection. So I'm very grateful to be connected to both of you and really see what we can do to really spread the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and one other thing before I forget, if y'all don't mind, we are doing a boost program. It's Businesses Overcoming Obstacles via Strategic Training. On April 1st, we teach you how to get grants and government contracts.
That is amazing. I love it. We'll definitely grab that information and share it.
Okay, thank
part
you.
of this article. So thank you again, Amber. I can't wait to have you come back and let's dive into one of these subjects. I love talking about controversy and to see how we can all come together beyond the controversy and come up with real solutions that help real people. And I truly believe that's where the power is. So thank you for being you and being a light to the city.
Thank you. You too, girl. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
All right. And that's all for Let's Talk on Houston City Beat. I'm Lisbet Newton and my friend Amber Lowe.